So let's begin with the early Christian church. The first known to us Christian theologian who developed his own interpretation of the book of Revelation was apologist Justin, or Justin the Martyr. This title, apologist, does not mean that he was apologizing for anything. Apologist means that he wrote apologies. And apology was a very popular genre of Christian literature in the early Christian church. To write an apology meant to write in defense of Christianity. Justin the Martyr died in the 2nd century of the Christian era. And in the history of Christian theology, he is known as the first one to develop the so-called millenarian hope. Remember last time we talked about chapter 20. And I said that some of the chapters in the book of Revelation are the key chapters to understanding this book. And these key chapters are chapter 12 and chapter 20. Especially chapter 20, that talks about the millennium, 1,000 years of the reign of Jesus and his saints, in which people will live in abundance, they will live happily for 1,000 years. And as you remember from chapter 20, the millennium begins after the archangel Michael fights the dragon, the Satan or the devil, chains him for 1,000 years to the abyss. Then the millennium begins, and after the millennium, the devil will be let loose for a while. There will be the final battle, the Armageddon, and after the Armageddon, the final judgment, and finally, people will be judged, and as a result, they will end up either in heaven or in hell. So this is kind of the seed of the apocalypse itself. So Justin, the apologist, developed his interpretation of the millennium and resurrection, and he thought that both events that are described in the book of Revelation should be understood literally, historically, and as indicating the future history, not the past history. So he believed that at some point in the future, there will be a real resurrection, bodily resurrection, and there will come a millennium when people will enjoy the life of plenty. So he may be seen as the pioneer of this trend in apocalyptic interpretations in the Christian history. The trend that may be called literal. It is literal and it is futuristic. Let me mention two more Christian theologians who belong to the same trend. The Greek theologian Irenaeus of Lyons and the Roman theologian Tertullian. So first, couple of words about Irenaeus of Lyons. His main work is called Against Heresies. And the main purpose of Irenaeus' writing was to fight Christian heresies. From the beginning of the Christian church, Christianity was torn apart by various heresies or wrong teachings. A heresy is a teaching that is considered to be wrong by the majority of the Christian community and by the community's leadership. St. Augustine, when he was examining those heresies in the 4th century, counted as many as more than 80 different heretical teachings. Gnosticism was one of the most popular Christian heresies of the 2nd and the 3rd century. Gnostic Christians taught that this world was created by an evil God. Why? because this world is full of evil and suffering and pain. And since it is full of suffering, it could not have been created by a good God. So Gnostics thought that this world was created by a Jewish God. They distinguished between Jewish God and Christian God. They thought these are two different gods. So this world is created by the Jewish evil God. And the only way to save yourself from this world is to stick to the teaching of Jesus. Now, when it comes to Jesus, Gnostics taught that Jesus was never human. He was only divine. He appeared to be human. It's like you look at your own image in the mirror, and the image appears to be you, but it is not you. So you look at Jesus and he appears to be human, while in fact he is always a divine figure. So they also taught that Jesus came to save people, but he came to save people through a special kind of knowledge. Gnosis. Gnosis in Greek means knowledge. Secret knowledge that was transmitted from Jesus to his disciples, from his disciples to their disciples, etc. So in order to be saved, you don't have to go to church or participate in the sacraments, but you have to find your teacher, and you have to be in the chain of transmission of this secret knowledge. Obviously, for Christian church, this teaching was heretical. First of all, Christianity confirmed, by including the Old Testament and the New Testament in the Christian Bible, Christianity confirmed that the Jewish God and the Christian God are actually one and the same God. Second, Christianity argued that Jesus was human. He was both fully human and fully divine. So that was another heresy. And thirdly, Christianity taught that Christians are saved by the church, within the church, and not by some kind of secret teaching and secret transmission. So Gnosticism challenged not only the theoretical part of Christianity, but the practical part and the power of the church. So the church fought against Gnosticism. And Irenaeus of Lyons wrote his book Against Heresies, in which he would challenge some of the Gnostic assumptions. Irenaeus of Lyons, in his apocalyptic interpretations, was trying to be true to the letter of the scriptures. Irenaeus thought, like Justin the Apologist, he thought that resurrection and millennium would be real historical events, that they should not be taken symbolically or spiritually, as Gnostics would take them. Gnostics would take everything as being only spiritual. Jesus, not human, but God. Apocalypse, not historical events, but spiritual events, etc. So Irenaeus of Lyons was emphasizing that resurrection and the millennium will be real historical events in the future. Now he thought, and here he was following the Jewish thought and the early Christian thought, that the story of creation in the beginning of the Bible, 7 days of creation, was the story of the history of humankind. That the first 6 days would equal 6,000 years, because it was assumed that 1 day of God equals 1,000 human years. So he thought that human years would last for 6,000 years. He thought that human history would last for 6,000 years. And then there will come the seventh day, or the last 1,000 years, and that would be the millennium that is prophesied in the book of Revelation. So let me read just one quotation from Irenaeus, so that you have a taste of his style and thought. For as it is truly God who raises the human person, so also does the human person truly rise from the dead, and not allegorically. And as we rise in actuality, so also shall we be actually trained beforehand for incorruption, and shall go forward and flourish in the times of the kingdom, in order that we might be capable of receiving the glory of the Father. Then, when all things are made new, we shall truly dwell in the city of God.